The story of The Guide revolves around a man named Raju who was born into a humble family and never had any particular goals or aspirations. He lived a simple life until he met a woman named Rosie who became the center of his world. Rosie was a famous dancer who Raju became infatuated with. He followed her to a nearby town and managed to get a job as her secretary. He was dedicated to her and helped her with her career, falling in love with her in the process. However, their relationship was complicated by Rosie's past and her difficult marriage to a man named Marco. Raju's life takes a turn for the worse when he becomes embroiled in a scandal involving Rosie and her husband. He is arrested and spends several months in jail. When he is released, he returns to his hometown to find that his reputation has been ruined, and he struggles to find work to support himself. One day, Raju meets a man named Velan who is starting a business as a tour guide. Velan hires Raju to work for him, and Raju begins to discover his talent for guiding tourists and telling stories. He becomes passionate about his work and develops a reputation as a skilled guide, gaining the respect of his peers and clients alike. As Raju's business grows, he begins to reflect on his past and the choices he has made. He realizes that his love for Rosie had blinded him to the consequences of his actions and the impact they had on others. He comes to terms with his past and finds peace in the present, becoming a respected member of the community and a successful tour guide. As Raju's business as a tour guide continues to flourish in Chapter 7 of The Guide, he starts living a lavish lifestyle and becomes arrogant. He forgets his humble beginnings and starts valuing material success over everything else. In Chapter 8, Raju's mother falls ill and he brings her to live with him. He hires Rajam, a servant, to take care of her. This event makes Raju reflect on his priorities in life and brings him back to reality. Raju's life takes another turn in Chapter 9 when he meets Marco, a wealthy businessman. Marco wants to hire Raju as his tour guide, but Raju discovers that Marco is Rosie's estranged husband. This revelation creates unease and tension for Raju. As the journey unfolds in Chapter 10, Raju and Marco face numerous challenges and obstacles, including a dangerous river and a group of bandits. The journey becomes a true test of their strength and survival skills. Chapter 11 highlights the deteriorating relationship between Raju and Marco as they face more obstacles and setbacks on their journey. Raju starts to question his choices and becomes disillusioned with his life. In the final chapter, Raju and Marco arrive at the remote village where Marco plans to set up a factory. However, they realize that the land is unsuitable for the project. This realization disappoints Marco, and Raju is left questioning his own existence. Throughout these chapters, Raju's character undergoes a transformation as he grapples with his inner conflicts and struggles to find his place in the world. His desire for material success and his moral conscience are at odds, and this tension leads to difficult decisions and consequences. In Chapter 13, Raju returns to the town where Rosie is living and discovers that she has become a successful actress. However, their relationship has deteriorated and she no longer wants anything to do with him. In Chapter 14, Raju tries to start a new life but struggles to find work. He eventually finds a job as a clerk at a local government office. In Chapter 15, Raju becomes known for his skills in resolving disputes and is asked to help settle a conflict between two neighboring villages. In Chapter 16, Raju becomes a religious leader and starts a fast to bring rain to the drought-stricken area. The villagers believe that he has supernatural powers and start to idolize him. In the penultimate chapter, Raju's fast ends in tragedy when he dies, sacrificing himself for the sake of the villagers. He becomes a revered figure, and his legend continues to live on even after his death. In the final chapter, the narrator reflects on Raju's life and the legacy he left behind. The narrator questions whether Raju was a true holy man or simply a fraud who took advantage of the villagers' beliefs. Throughout the last chapters of The Guide, Raju's character continues to evolve as he tries to find his place in the world. He becomes a respected figure in the community, but his past mistakes and questionable actions still haunt him. The novel raises questions about faith, morality, and the true nature of heroism. Here's a character summary of the main characters in The Guide. by R.K. Narayan. Raju, the protagonist of the story. Raju is a former tour guide who becomes a spiritual leader. He is a complex character who struggles with his own desires and his sense of morality. Raju is also a symbol of the changing times in India as the country moves towards modernization. Rosie, a dancer and actress. Rosie is the love interest of Raju. She is a strong and independent woman who is determined to pursue her dreams despite societal expectations. Rosie is also a symbol of the changing roles of women in Indian society. Marco, a wealthy businessman who hires Raju as his tour guide. Marco is Rosie's estranged husband. He is a symbol of the corrupting influence of wealth and power. Velan, a devout follower of Raju's teachings. Velan is a simple and humble man who represents the traditional values of India. Rajam, Raju's servant. Rajam is a loyal and hard-working man who cares deeply for Raju and his mother. He is a symbol of the importance of family and loyalty in Indian culture. The villagers. The villagers play an important role in the story as they are the ones who ultimately shape Raju's fate. They are portrayed as superstitious and easily swayed by charismatic leaders, but they are also shown to have a strong sense of community and loyalty. Please like, share and subscribe our channel for more book summaries.